Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Jonah was an undertaker. He prepared the dead for burial and prayed they would keep coming. Every night, he asked God for one thing: let someone die so I can work. Then, one night, while applying makeup to a corpse, the dead man opened his eyes and grabbed Jonah's wrist. From that moment, people stopped dying in Okwuru, and Jonah discovered the terrible price of his prayer. Everyone in Okwuru town knew Jonah the undertaker. He was the man people called when life had already left the body, when crying filled the compound, when drummers beat slowly, when the air smelled of sorrow. Jonah always arrived quietly, dressed in black, his face calm, his hands steady. He spoke little, walked carefully, and left before the wailing became too loud. To the people, Jonah was just doing his job. But Jonah carried a secret prayer in his heart. He lived alone at the edge of town, close to the old cemetery, where tall grasses grew and graves leaned like tired men. His house was small and cold, even in the heat. Inside, he had little, just his tools, his bed, and a wooden cross hanging on the wall. Business had been slow. For weeks, no one had died. At first, Jonah felt relief. Fewer bodies meant fewer tears. But relief did not pay rent. Relief did not buy food. Relief did not silence hunger. One night, as Jonah lay on his bed, listening to crickets, worry wrapped around his chest. His stomach growled. His candle flickered. He knelt beside his bed and began to pray. God, he whispered, you know my situation. You know my work. He hesitated. Then he said the words that would change everything. Let someone die so I can walk. The words fell heavy in the room. Jonah flinched, but hunger pushed away guilt. He convinced himself it was not evil. People die every day anyway. He was not killing anyone. He was only asking God to remember him. The next morning, an old man died in his sleep. Jonah was called before sunrise. He walked quietly, efficiently. He washed the body carefully and laid it flat on the table. As always, he prepared the face for burial. He dipped his fingers into powder and gently applied makeup to soften the stiff features. As he lifted the old man's chin to apply more powder, something happened. The hand moved. Jonah froze. Before he could react, the dead man's fingers snapped shut around Jonah's wrist. Cold, hard, unnatural. Jonah screamed and staggered back as pulling free the body fell still again, lifeless and silent. The room was quiet. Too quiet. Jonah stood there shaking, breathing hard. He told himself it was muscle reflex, nothing more. He forced himself to continue walking, though his hands trembled the entire time. The family paid him well. That night, Jonah ate properly for the first time in weeks. But the taste of food could not erase the memory of that cold grip. 2 days later, a woman collapsed in the market. Again, Jonah was called. Then a child fell sick and did not recover. The calls increased. Each time Jonah worked, he felt watched. Sometimes he thought he saw eyelids twitch. Sometimes he swore he heard breathing that did not belong to the living. Jonah noticed the pattern, but he pushed the thought away. Each night he knelt and prayed again. God, remember me tomorrow. And tomorrow, someone died. Soon the town began to whisper. Too many deaths, people said. Something is wrong, elders murmured. But Jonah said nothing. His pockets were full. His table had food. His hands were busy. His conscience grew quiet. until the night the dead came to answer him. It was past midnight when Jonah heard a knock. Slow, heavy, knock, knock. His heart jumped. No one came at that hour unless something was wrong. He lit his lantern and opened the door. No one was there. He stepped outside. The cemetery lay silent, covered in mist. As he turned back, the knock came again, this time from inside the house. Jonah froze. The lantern flickered. Then he heard it. Footsteps, dragging, slow, wet, from the back room. Jonah's breath caught in his throat. He knew those steps. He had heard them many times before, when bodies were moved, when coffins were dragged. A voice followed, low, cold. Jonah. He staggered backward. The door to his workroom creaked open. A body stepped out. It was wrapped in burial cloth, stained dark. The face was pale, eyes sunken. Jonah recognized him instantly. It was the old man who died first. The dead man smiled, a smile too wide, too wrong. "You prayed, we answered," the dead man said. More footsteps came. Another body appeared. Then another. The woman from the market, the child, faces Jonah had washed, bodies Jonah had buried. They filled the room. Jonah fell to his knees, screaming, "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it." The dead moved closer. "You asked for death," they whispered together. "Now death knows your name." The lantern went out. Jonah woke up at dawn, soaked in sweat, lying on the floor. For a moment, he thought it was a dream. Then he noticed his tools. They were wet, with soil, with grave smell. From that day, Jonah never prayed that prayer again. But it was too late. People stopped dying in Okwuru. Completely. No sickness, no accidents, no old age deaths. Instead, every night, Jonah heard footsteps, dragging, whispers calling his name. He grew thin. His hair turned gray. His eyes sank deep. One morning, villagers noticed Jonah's door open. Inside, they found his tools neatly arranged. But Jonah was gone. No body, no grave. Till today, elders say if you pass the cemetery at night, you may see a man in black digging endlessly, burying invisible bodies, still praying, still working, still paying for his prayer.